The president of the United States has just issued what will probably the closest thing that we will get as a country to a concession speech. The president has sent out several tweets indicating that he has instructed the General Services Administration Chair, Administrator Kelly Murphy, to begin the transfer of power protocols. This is what the president said earlier tonight via Twitter. He said, quote, "I want to thank Emily Murphy at GSA for her steadfast dedication and loyalty to our country. She has been harassed, threatened, and abused. And I do not want to see this happen to her, her family, or employees of GSA. Our case strongly continues. We will keep up the good fight." And I believe, this is the president continued to say on Twitter, he said, "We will continue the good fight, and I believe that we will prevail. Nevertheless, in the best interest of our country, I am recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols and have told my team to do the same." Now, again, the president of the United States making false statements in here, saying that the reason he is doing this is because he wants to avoid any threats to Emily Murphy. But Emily Murphy making it clear that the reason that she is doing this herself is because she found enough evidence to suggest that Joe Biden won. That and another reason. But first, let me read her exact reason that she stated in her letter today, saying, "Mr. Biden, as the administrator to the U.S. General Services Administration, I have the ability under the Presidential Transition Act of 1963 as amended to make certain post-election resources and services available to assist in the event of a presidential transition." And then she lists the code. "I take this role seriously, and because of recent developments involving legal challenges and certifications of election results, I am transmitting this letter today to make those resources and services available to you." So, of course, per usual, the president of the United States is trying to save face. He doesn't want to make it look like this is a pure concession, when in fact it actually is as much of a concession as you can expect from someone like Donald Trump. Now, his friends at Fox News are doing their best for damage control. This is Tucker Carlson earlier tonight.
Other countries understand it. They don't use electronic voting because they know it undermines confidence in democracy. A system cannot function if no one trusts the vote. And that's true here, too, as we're finding out. Going forward, we need to find out exactly what happened in this month's presidential election. We need to find out, no matter how long it takes the investigation to unfold or how much it costs. And once we get answers from that investigation, we ought to revert immediately to the traditional system of voting, the one that served our democracy for hundreds of years. What we're doing now is not working. That's an understatement. As of tonight, the state of New York still hasn't managed to count the votes in 5 House races thanks to mail-in voting. That's a disaster. Let's stop pretending that it's not. But at the same time, we shouldn't let our focus on voting machines distract us from all that happened earlier this month. The 2020 presidential election was not fair. No honest person would claim that it was fair.
Wow. Okay.
On many levels, the system was rigged against one candidate and in favor of another. And it was rigged in ways that were not hidden from view. We all saw it happen. The media openly colluded with the Democratic nominees. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris refused to explain what they would do if they were elected. That's never happened before in any presidential election in American history. But
so this is the grievance brigade. This is Donald Trump's grievance brigade. They need to give them as warm of a blanket as they possibly can to face the reality that they lost. They lost fair and square. And Donald Trump is basically saying the only way he's going to leave power is if he's able to save face and if he's able to still say that it was unfair, because it's not possible for Donald Trump to lose in this country. It's impossible. It is so far gone that he's willing to destroy this country. But now someone on the inside has probably talked to him and say, listen, Mr. President, it's vitally important that you go ahead and concede. And this is the best that we're going to get from him. And you know what? It's a victory. All jokes aside, it's a complete and total victory. The fact that we are able to get rid of Donald Trump without actually having to escalate the situation in any form or fashion. It took a little pressure. And Donald Trump exposed exactly how vulnerable this country is to a would-be dictator. But the fact of the matter is that if this is what he's going to consider a concession speech, then we'll gladly take it, so long as he sees himself outside of the door. That said, one final note, this actually came also as a result of pressure being put on the General Services Administration by the Democratic Party. As you can see in this article from Politico, Democrats reject GSA offer to delay briefing on transition. Lawmakers are demanding Emily Murphy formally ascertain Biden's victory so the president-elect can begin preparing to govern. This took place today at 3:45 p.m. Later on that day, she went ahead and said that she was going to begin the transfer of power protocols. So there is something to be said about accountability and the Democrats applying pressure and using all of the tools at our disposal to ensure that we protect this democracy from threats, domestic as well as foreign. Emphasis on the domestic.